Sir, we are live now. Please start.
Okay. Okay. Great. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to share my views on future of business. So, just to let me start with a brief introduction of myself. Uh, I'm Lakshmi Murthy, co-founder and CEO of nicheBrains. nicheBrains is a transformation experts platform, which I'll come to it little in a second now. And I have 20 plus years of business consulting and technology services experience, and during which time I've traveled across Europe and Asia and worked with various customers of different sizes. And I'm an executive learning coach at INSEAD for various programs in growth and transformation, as well as Phoenix Encounter method. And I'm a PhD Tech graduate and INSEAD and Singularity University alumnus. And I'm a long distance runner. I've run many marathons across India and Chennai also. I enjoyed running a couple of years back before the COVID struck. I would be happy to connect with you all through my LinkedIn. I'm pretty much active on the LinkedIn as well. So this is pretty brief about me. So about my company, nicheBrains has access to vetted independent consultants in the areas of supply chain, industry 4.0 technologies, digital marketing, and digital strategy. And these are curated and verified consultants. And we provide a platform for leaders of SMEs to access these experts on demand and also assess their business gaps to accelerate both growth and transformation. That's what we do. So today, what we are going to talk about is getting ready for the future of business. This is definitely, this topic is pretty large, vast, and complex. So I will do my best to tackle this with particular context, the intersection of my experience in consulting, and also my association with various business schools, and my personal experience as startup founder as well. And I know that we can try to make it as engaging as possible. If you have any questions, you can shoot it in the chat, or we can have it in the Q&A session, which just comes up to post this session as well. So let me just start with these three questions. I'm sure that these three questions, I'm not just to have this in mind. I'm sure that you will find this answer for these questions somewhere during the course of my presentation. So one I want to ask you is that, will you lend money to someone if you know that they are a gambler? So this is the first question I want you to reflect. And the second one, can you become a billionaire with less than rupees 1,000 in your account? And third, I'm not sure why the presentation is created a unicorn over here, but yeah. So what is the minimum square feet? I expected a building to come here, but what's the minimum square feet of the office space a unicorn business must have? So these are the three questions. So I want you to a little bit start off reflecting this, or rather, I would say that have these questions in mind. I'm sure that you'll get this answer somewhere during this presentation. I'm not going to talk about it explicitly, but no, for sure, no, we will answer these questions as we go forward. So 80%, 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 were not invented 5 years ago, as per the one of the Dell's survey of the future of business. So no, I think this is something really important for us to think about it. So when we were doing, when myself I was doing a program, the overall objective is that, let's say if you are a mechanical engineer, the overall course or overall job that possibly one can end up doing is in possibly a manufacturing industry. Or if you are a maths or a statistician, so possibly you will end up doing a PhD and get into an academia. But today, if really if you're doing a statistician, in fact, statisticians, as we speak, they are most sought out graduates. And in fact, some of the top C-level executives who holds a very senior positions in Google, Amazon, or any, name the large companies, they all come from mathematics and statistics background. So which means that the education or the jobs that the with which we start educating ourselves has really is not going to be the same as possibly when we are really looking to do it in 2030 as well. But I will also add one more thing, is that the way we work and engage with organizations will also go for a transformation. So what do I mean by this? So when I really look back 50 years back, when my father-in-law started, to work as a government office as a secretary, after about 35 plus years, about 15 years back, he got hired in the same office, uh, in the same role, and in the same place, even after 35 plus years. When it came to me, I started my career as a sales and business development, and I changed my domain somewhere after 4 plus years to consulting. And after 8 years, I switched my job, and then I founded a couple of 2 companies as well. And during this process, I went through different domain transformations. But then it's like it happened like every 5 years now. But then when we really look at the future, I do see that this kind of transformation will happen pretty faster. Okay, so within this kind of a time together that we have in the next 40 and odd minutes, what I wanted to really focus is that the 3 key things that will shape the future of the business. The first one is being the digital transformation amplified by the exponential technologies, and the second would be that how these exponential technologies like blockchain are changing the way we are doing the business and reimagining the various ways in which the business can evolve. And the third part, which I possibly want to leave with you, is to concrete steps that you can take today to get yourself ready for the future of business as you really look forward to start your career in the next few years or so. So this is one of the interesting quote that is to start with when it comes to digital transformation. So there are only we need to recognize that there are only 2 types of business: those that are already digital and those that soon will be. This is the words of Margaret Vestager, the executive VP of EU Commission. So every business will be a digital business. Digital will be an integral part of every organization as we go forward. To start with, let me basically have bring in a real life case study of L'Oreal Group, which has gone through and going through a successful digital transformation, because it's a continuously evolving process as such, as to how they are really reimagining their business using digital transformation. So they have implemented 3D printing for prototyping, and also which basically which help them to recreate the packages faster, and also have the spare parts available in a short time period. And in manufacturing, they have implemented agile manufacturing techniques, which helps them to change their products between 20 different products in less than 20 minutes as such. So which in the past possibly takes about more than 4 hours or so. And also digital transformation is also means that it's about personalization. Okay, so what happens is that to make the most out of this kind of digital transformation, one also need to cater to the needs of their consumers. And in order to understand what the consumers want, what is important is the data. And the once you have the data about the consumers, they can basically what they can do, they can personalize the products as well. So what happens is that turning these data into a valuable consumer needs, and what L'Oreal has created is that they are able to create customized products which the consumers can order on demand, and also in a subscription mode as well. And they also launched basically what is called as My Little Factory, which basically uses an autonomous robots, and collaborate where people can work together with collaborative robots as well, and uses automation and artificial intelligence and computer vision to produce customized foundation as per the consumer needs as well. So the industry of the future, as for L'Oreal, would be is a combination of all these exponential technology, which can help to give their customers what they need, and faster, better, cheaper. This is what is going to be the needs for these customers, and this is where technologies like AI, blockchain, and Internet of Things, all these can help companies like L'Oreal to make inroads into transform their business digitally and grow exponentially. And however, when we really look at it in a common part about it, when we think about these technologies like robotics or AI, what normally comes into picture would be these instead of instead of amplification, people always try to project through movies like Terminator or any movies. It's always like a dystopia world where machines take over the world, and then automation takes over the job of the people. And it's also substantiated with a lot of media attentions, like where we get to know about a lot of people getting relieved because of jobs being automated and so on and so forth. But however, if you really look at it, from the data which was generated by the Gartner, in fact, the number of jobs which was gained due to this kind of technology adoptions like AI or latest technology vis-a-vis the number of jobs destroyed from 2020 onwards, it has started increasing as such. Now it's also now if you really see that in the last, as we really see this kind of a growth, now this growth is also not linear. As we really look forward to it, when we look at, we have only right out till 2025, but when you really look at also, it is not going to be a linear, rather kind of an exponentially growing with respect to new jobs being created. Now then it also comes to the question is that, where does this, there is always a question comes in. Okay, you are saying that where the new jobs are created and rather than destroyed. So how do we really look into it, what kind of jobs gets created? And so to explain this, I thought that it's very, it's though we are trying to put these kind of things in a kind of a four quadrant one, it's not easy to simplify, but just for explanation purpose, we try to simplify it. So on this screen, on the x-axis, we have jobs that requires optimization, that are repetitive. And on the right hand side of the x-axis, we have jobs that are requires creativity and new thinking and strategy. And also, so on y-axis, what we have is where compassion is not needed, whereas on the on the other side of it is compassion not needed. Now if you see to this particular graph, whatever is on to your left side, where things are repetitive, where things can be can be done more like lower end work, or where things can be done virtually, all these things can be replaced. And in fact, they're also kind of to a great extent boring jobs as well. So those are the places where, if you really see that how the automation or AI can definitely can replace the man or the human people. But whereas when you really look at the other side of it, where you need to really think strategically or think about apply creativity and problem solving, these are the areas where definitely you would need people. And these are the places, these are some of the sample examples that I've given. But however, there are quite number of opportunities that one can really leverage as they go forward. And this is where the careers are built in the time to come as well. So where the one common guideline is that where these new jobs are getting created, one can think about where is strategy or creativity is involved, and where is also compassion is typically needed. And those are the places where one can really the career and the progression will happen in the coming years as well. So, which also brings us to the question: can AI replicate human as such? This is what is the majority of the explanations and things like that. So, I would definitely think about and say that AI, the most of the tedious part of the job, most laborious jobs, or most of the things that is where the AI kind of technology will replicate human. But otherwise, it will in a complex one where the human is still will be there, but however, they will be AI will be helping to augment and amplify the human efforts as well. So that's where when we really see that, that's why I would like to see the artificial intelligence go forward, and how human and artificial intelligence being working together as well. So with this thing that I think everyone kind of have heard about AI, and you're also studying about it, but probably it's really hard to identify the kind of business levers that basically what needs to be thought through and pull when you really wanted to accelerate the business, and also how this will reflect in the future of business as such. So it can basically start with as simple as such kind of a pattern detection, which is something like recognizing irregularities in data. It starts with possibly a computer vision, to a more complex way where the interactions are made, where people, where the interaction can be like interacting with a chatbot, where automatic replies are done, or the analog mediums uh, where people, it's basically you are interacting with a robot. So between these two kinds of an end, AI can have different kinds of applications to help you uh, in terms of accelerating the business and reimagine the various business processes, and to be relevant in the time to come as well. And how does typically one look at what basically happens when AI's business applications are concerned? There are three fundamental or foundation levers that basically help. The first is data, and the second is compute. Basically, it's about kind of the infrastructure and the hardware that is required. And the third one is that algorithms or the decision rules that basically helps you in terms of taking right decisions and automate. And these are all the things that I'm sure you're learning. So I'm not really going to the depth of how these things works, but then how this are applied on the real life cases. So that's what we are going to look at it. So I'm going to start with few case studies to start with, so that the number one is that banking the unbanked in the emerging markets as such. So as you know, that one of the fundamental criteria for any banks to provide loan is basically to see that whether you are credit worthy. So while there are a good number of data today exist in India, countries like India or a lot of other developed countries, but in emerging markets or in underdeveloped countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, there is not much of data that is existing, but there is a huge amount of potential for providing the loans definitely exist as well. So in such situations, how exponential technologies are used in terms of identifying the whether the specific person is providing a loan or not. So what they have done is that the branch which is into microloans, I believe now they are also they are also having operations in India. But when they started in Africa, how they did it is that they asked the users, the mobile phone users, to provide their mobile history, whatever the calls or the SMS, those kind of information to be provided to them, and based on that they were able to approve the loan. And they used various data points based on the transaction logs that is present in their in their phones to do it. So what are some of the things that they are basically trying to do is that one is that if they are using a smartphone like Samsung or HTC, which means they have a basic income, or they have pretty much understand using of the phone, and they understand the basic things of interactions as well. And the second one is using battery sparingly. So suppose if they know that the battery, they don't really charge multiple times and then it goes dry, but the batteries are used, which means that they are very responsible in terms of planning their activities and making sure that they don't really waste, they save and stuff like that. And the third part is that taking most of the calls in the evening, which means that during the daytime they work, they go for a work, and they don't really use the phones pretty much on a regular basis. So that is one of the other data point that they're doing. And receiving more text messages than one sends. Typically when you are getting more text messages, it's assumed that you are more sought out person, you are basically a person who's looking, you have been respected as well. And the third aspect, the other part is that when you are basically your text messages, you are really writing without any grammatical errors, with a simple English as well, which also means that he's having a basic education, which means that he knows that what is right and wrong. And active Facebook profile, when you have a social media profile like a Facebook, uh, one will not really be having kind of if something happens and then it puts on the Facebook, they don't really want to see themselves as kind of being seen in the wrong light. And finally, if they have a gambling app, this is very pretty surprising fact they also identify. When they have a gambling app, the amount of time they are able to settle their loan is also pretty larger. So this is the place where they saw that if they are gambler, they're able to settle. They don't really they don't really use gambling as a habit, but then they use a gambling app to once in a while do it and then settle their money in time. So this is also another place where they are able to use that as a note for credit, and using these kind of various approach for them to uh, determine the creditworthiness of a person's in various sub-Saharan countries. They were able to disperse more than $500 million in terms of loans, and their collection rate or their settlement rate is also pretty high as well. So that's very interesting case. I thought that the power of exponential technologies in terms of how these kind of data can be definitely leveraged with respect to identifying people from creditworthiness to so that they can be approved with the loan. And the second one is on the fraud prevention. So I'm sure that a lot of times we get the financial fraud is one of the things which is in the rising, be it any countries as well. So Pindrop has made an application which basically it helps various call centers in terms of identifying if the loans that or if any calls that is coming in for you, whether that is a fraudulent call or basically as a real call. So how does this do is that typically in a place when you are getting a call from a call center asking for your financial information, it's not just this particular application not just listen to the person who's speaking, it also identifies and then in the background identify various different background noises or any other noises it comes in, and determine whether they are calling from a proper office location or someplace else. And these information are used then to assess whether the caller is is a fraudster or somebody who's genuine, and then there is a real call is happening. So this is one way the technology is used to identify various levels of fraud, and it also helped various organizations in US in terms of reducing the fraud related challenges as well. Now these are all single technologies like AI or various computer vision we are talking about, but we also now have how different multiple, because it's not, when we talk about exponential technologies we are not just talking about artificial intelligence or robotics, we are talking about multiple technologies working together in terms of helping organization to thrive. So Boeing is planning to build the new 797 in the metaverse. Now metaverse is basically I'm sure that many of you would have come across this in terms of provides you with immersive immersive experience in the virtual world. And what Boeing wants to see that based on their past experience, more than 70% of the product defects basically can be traced back to design time. By having these, and typically they have so many lakhs and lakhs of parts, and each parts goes to be designed by different kind of teams as well. Now, if they or those team members have to meet very frequently, and it has a lot of cost and time and efforts, and a lot of decision points are done, and it all takes time. Now, by bringing these design into the metaverse, people spread across different geographical regions can get into the metaverse, discuss, have a physical, immersive experience without being physically present in one place, but then have discussed across, have these kind of discussions from their office room or house or home office, wherever they are working from, and identify the possible solutions, and then identify the problems and design, and so that they can complete the design faster, so that it reduces the overall lead time for design and development of these parts and production as well. And they also, by having these metaverse, they can have test various aspects of how the product will perform at the end of the production, when so this kind of, so that the quality issues can be eliminated. And as you know that flights or manufacturing aeroplane requires lots and lots of documentation. By having them digitalized, the ability to the ability to get these kind of a paperless organization becomes a reality. And more than that, what happens is that with this kind of approach, they are planning to release in a very shorter period of this new flight, less than about 4 to 5 years. That's, otherwise it takes more time. So that's another place where we think about a convergence of different exponential technologies helping an application to become better. They can work on these products in a faster, better, at the same time, high quality product can be released leveraging these different digital technologies. So another example I would like to take it before we jump onto the second part of it is be this is a car. This is basically a car. This is basically a autonomous electric pod. It is basically manufactured in Italy, and there are some operationals also in Italy as well. And they are mostly targeted towards campuses and the old age homes and everything. The beauty of it is that the differentiation is that they are 3D printed, and more than 80% of them are 3D printed. Second one is they're autonomous. It doesn't need any drivers. It's an electrical vehicle, and it uses IBM's Watson AI for various functions, and it leverages technologies like 5G network and AR and VR for basically providing a better experience as well. And other part is that unlike other automotive engineering organizations, manufacturing organization, where these are produced by a single organization with various partners being supplying different components, but then the central piece is the organization as such, which owns the overall technical information or the design elements. Here, what they have created is a community of engineers across different parts of the world. So here, the challenges are thrown at the people for any challenges on the functioning or any design related challenges or any production related challenges, and people basically submit their answers or the solution. And if whichever is the solution that gets accepted by majority, they get implemented on this product, and whosoever is accepted, they get the royalties of the product that gets used. So by changing from a traditional transaction based or a partner which is based on the transaction, they are establishing basically a digital community to work together for people who are across the world, and there need not be a large organization. This can be also individual partners as well who are specialized in certain capabilities to come together as a part of the community and contribute to the overall development of this product, so that the outcome that comes in is a better one as we go forward. So this is also a nice time for us to move from basically, till now we are talking about how exponential technologies are changing the way the products and services are being produced, and we also talked about the community part of it. So this will be a good time for us to think about the second lever for the future of business, which is about new business model. So before I jump into how this new business model evolve, I'm sure that most of you would have come across the blockchain as a concept, where previously the data which is basically controlled by a central and trusted third party, but with blockchain, each participant has a copy of the database, so that if there is any change that needs to be done, naturally one has to go through whatever the new change will have to be identified as a new record, so you have a kind of track and trace between how things are changing as well. And also because these things happen across different distributed way, so one person alone cannot change the information so that the frauds can be deducted. And the blockchain eliminates the need for central trusted parties, which can be the government, which can be the bank, which can be an organization in the center as well. So this eliminates, so that this helps in terms of people interacting with other people, and when they basically have some kind of a relationship or the transaction, this transaction need not be for only the currency based one, it can also be of values as well. So just to have one of the things that we can as an example, when we really look at it. See, when you have countries like India or Europe, where the currencies are stable, where we don't really know where, if at all, if you need to do any transaction, there is a currency that is given by this government, and we are basically using those currencies to transact. And if you need to really transfer any currency to other countries, we go through these banks, and the banks basically verify and approve these transactions. And there is a kind of stable amount of kind of conversion that exists for the countries like be it Europe and India. There is a little bit of challenges there, but again, it's kind of stable only. However, when we really look at other countries, typically African countries or like Zimbabwe or Venezuela, the challenge is that they go through hyper information. The resources are there, but however, when they are really looking at not being able to transact with people outside of their country, naturally, though they have the resources, they could be at a very disadvantageous position. And this is where using the blockchain approach, Bitcoin can help in terms of they can transact with the Bitcoin and help them in terms of having the fair value for the goods and services they provide. Just as an example, I'm sure that this is also a nice place. This is like $100 trillion, which was released by the Zimbabwe government a few years back. And can in somewhere in 2008, can someone guess what would be the kind of a dollar value for this or Indian currency value as well? So just if you really see, some people typically say it could be about $50 or $100, but the reality is that the value of this particular $100 trillion is about 40 cents, which is close to about 30 to 40 rupees in Indian currency, which means that you can be a trillionaire if you have a 40 rupees equivalent of in Zimbabwe currency. But then what it can buy you, we all know that. So that's something which is kind of trivia as well. So how does this relate this into a business model? So previously, if you are selling a product or services, there is always a company which sits in the middle, and where the transaction happens on between the providers and purchaser as well. Now, however, when you really go into a decentralized approach with a blockchain kind of thing, each participant has the information. Each participant bring in their value addition for the ultimate product, which basically results into a decentralized autonomous organization where everybody becomes part of these organization. Let's say that if you are basically manufacturing an automobile or car, each person brings in their own expertise and they contributed to the end product. And in that process, when the end product is sold, naturally they get the part of the results or the outcome that can come. This can be one application. All these can kind of approach can give rise to things like ICOs, initial coin offering, which is an alternative to an equity, and it goes into things like non-fungible token, which basically used to get metaverse and other applications as well. So this helps in terms of identifying ways and means to really reimagine the way the business are being conducted as we really go forward in the future. And we now talked about both digital transformation or how the exponential technologies helps us in terms of exponentially grow in the time to come, and also how these kind of different business models which basically helps in terms of transacting in the new ways. But in this time, how, as you really go and really look at new jobs or how you want to really get yourself ready for the time to come, the key to is that you need to adapt. So these are some of the technologies that helps in terms of really growing the organization, where the way the business is done will completely change. Things like cloud, which can give you access to data or the processing forward, which again helps in terms of building artificial intelligence based application, which again gives power to making decisions, which can be a smart contract based in the blockchain. And also more and more data gets created. Naturally, the processing power needs, and that's where things like quantum computing, which has different applications as well. So all these are cyclic processes, and these ways, the way we work also changes. The way we think about working also changes. And just imagine if anyone can guess, this is basically an office of an unicorn, which is basically they have to really have this office only for sending kind of a tax notification or receiving the statutory related document. Otherwise, this is a company which is, I think, more than 12,000 people working, and it's a unicorn based in US and completely managed in the virtual reality. So they are a unicorn. They just went public, and so it also brings us to the reality that you no longer need like a huge facilities and then huge kind of number of people to work together to become a unicorn as well. So how does one really think about getting ready in light of these kind of changing both external environment with respect to external exponential technologies as well as new business model. That there are three things that is very important. One is the mindset, the second one is skill sets, and the third one is toolkit. We can call this as more like a triads or a three-legged table, and these three are important when we are really looking at the how to get yourself ready for it. So what is a mindset? So typically mindset is all about when we really look at it, when we see in the last 40-50 years as to how the business is conducted vis-a-vis the future. We only look at it, the business more focused in the last century more on the efficiency and the way to do business. But when we really look at it in the 21st century, it's all about change, it's all about transformation. It's not just incremental but exponential. So when we really wanted to really have what kind of a mindset one have, it's always about thinking about preparing for what's next. And in this what next, there are various types of mindsets one can have, but the key ones are like effectiveness mindsets. It's always about how to do things effectively. And the second one is membership. Membership is all about having diverse teams or diverse thinking and inclusiveness and so on. And third one is about alignment to the organization vision and alignment to your value system, the purpose. And the fourth one is growth mindset, which is about having the ability to adapt and then think about how one can go to the next level faster. And in the changing world, when we really do a research about it, apart from these three, the growth mindset is the key one which drives all the other parts of it, actually speaking. So one having a growth mindset will be able to build the rest of the mindsets and will be able to help them propel themselves towards the growth. And the second part of it is that the skill sets. Now, what happens is that in the skill set, when we really think about skill set, it's all about we come to the skills. What happens is that we always think that I'm a programmer, so I know about a coding. This is what we think about it, or I'm a kind of a marketer. This is what I bring into the table. But when we really look at it, our skills are more like a iceberg. There is something which we know externally, but there are also something which are hidden. It could be your experience, it could be your interest, or the places that you traveled, or the plans that you have, or the physical health that you have, or the discipline that you, because you're not going to really, I would say that compartmentalize all these things in your work. And some of the things gets really, applied consciously, but some of these skills are basically, applied in a subconscious way. So, however, the reality is that you need to really apply what really is as a whole person you will be applying it, irrespective of whether you acknowledge it or not. So when you're really thinking about your skill sets, it's also imperative that you need to really think about what you are capable and what you love, and that kind of an intersection is where you will be able to channelize all your energy and then achieve the peak potential. This is the second part of it one needs to be thinking about it as well. So the third part of it is that the tool set. The tool set is about the techniques and the technology. So it's not just the academia is important, or the kind of the technology, machine learning, or the all the key things that you're learning. Those are all forms the technologies like AI, data analytics. All those things are very important. But apart from that, you also need to be thinking about how to set a smart goals, design thinking, applying design thinking processes, or having the kind of what some people follow as OKR, objectives and key results approach to achieve your goals, and agile methodologies. These are some of the things some of the examples of techniques and tools, toolkits one can follow in terms of applying this. So these three things, having the kind of right mindset about thinking about what's next. The second one is about having the right kind of skills with respect to bringing in the whole person attitude to your work. And the third one is about having the right techniques and technologies to be applied on your work. These are the three things, one in conjunction with changing technological landscape, will help you in terms of positioning yourself for the jobs to come as well. And if you really see that see, this is the pace of transformation which has been happening. If you really see between 2.5 million years of BC, if you see that this is how the the whole human evolution was there. Between first stone tools to the identification of fire, there are about more than 2.4 million years of time it took. But between discovering fire to first cognitive revolution, it's about 200,000 years. But then onwards, if you really see that the pace of transformation is basically really look at getting faster and faster. Now, the first industrial revolution was happened about somewhere around 60 to 80 years back. But today we are talking about fourth industrial revolution, and somebody is already talking or defending about fifth industrial revolution as well. So the pace of transformation as we really go forward, getting faster and faster, and each the change is basically happening as we speak. And the future, we can also say that the future is not in the future, but then the future is now as well. So in this kind of scenarios, how would you imagine the future of work in the context of future of business? One, when you are studying, whichever, irrespective of the discipline, think about the value creation that you are expecting to do yourself, and also to your prospective organization or the work that you intend to do. What value you can bring in, both hard as well as the staff. This is the first step, because we all exist, and there is always a way one can create a value. And think about the value that you can bring in for the prospective employer or for your own self, based on your career plans. The second one is, as we said about that, transformation is happening faster, and the concept of job also is changing. Previously, people always used to think about, used to be working with an organization, earning a paycheck on a daily, on a monthly basis. But when we really look at it in 10 years from now, we will possibly going back into our older days of the way we used to work, where we will be working not for one organization, possibly a kind of a portfolio of career, which would be compartmentalized based on your different skill sets and techniques. On one part of one particular point of time, you could be a software programmer. On another part of you could be a player, and on third, there could be some recreational work that you will be doing. So a kind of a building, thinking about not just one specific role for yourself, but thinking about a portfolio can help you in terms of positioning yourself better. And having that kind of approach to your career can help in terms of identifying what you're good at and what you love, and get yourself progress in your career as well. And third, when 20 years or 30 years back, or when we really need to think about it, the amount of time we used to spend as kids, first you put a major chunk of work time in terms of studying, about almost like 10-15 years or so of studies, and then another 50 years of work, and then go to a retirement life. So it's always say that study hard, work hard, possibly there is nothing like fun, but then we say that retire yourself. That's what is used to be the three phases of life. But then if you really look at today's part of it, is that people can learn and work and also have fun. So integrate these three things into your your daily routine. In fact, some of the colleges, some of the organization also gives the break in terms of one can go back, break, want to experiment or want to travel, kind of things like sabbatical. All these things are getting popularized. Even in India also it's getting. So think about, have these three components not as a linear, but as integral part of your daily routine as well. So having a work, learning, and fun. So these three things can help in terms of helping you to reimagine your future of work with respect to how you can create value for yourself and the employer whom you can, and think career in terms of portfolio, not a single one. The third is about having a balance between working, learning, and having fun. So with that note, I really I would open up for any questions, and I would be happy to answer any questions, or love to engage on a discussion as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the session. Participants, please raise your hands. We will unmute in order so that we don't have a mess like that. Thank you. So you can check in the chat box. I mean, already we have some questions in there.
Okay, let me just check in there. I'm having, okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, I can see there is a request for slide. I would be happy to share the slide deck for sure. Okay, you have a question. I can't see any questions here. Yeah. So you're asking about a portfolio of careers. So when we really look at it, previously the organizations, when we to do the jobs, they always used to have an hierarchical model. This is how it used to be. Like this is where all the strengths or organization used to have a unique strength. Let me also go back to the way these kind of jobs have started. Now, when we really pre-industrialization period, the people used to be more like they are like artists and then artisans, and they used to protect what they know already. And but however, when the demand started to increase, they believe that by having these work being trained to somebody else or apprentices, they will be able to earn more money. But then the focus was always about always about having the secret sauce being protected always. And this used to be the same thing even today, irrespective of various industrialization that we go through. But as we really look forward in the future, now it all started with the organization no longer exists today with only having employees inside the organization. Now we are looking at it started with having a partnership, and whatever is not core to the organization, it used to get partnered, or it used to be outsourced to people. And there used to be other things like mentors. It started with coaches. People used to know whatever is not really something which they need a help, they go to the thing. And slowly it gets transformed into now what we also see, that people started to engage with contractors, and people started to really work with freelancers. Now one of the things that is really getting popularized is to not really having one a person is not really known like good at one programming or one particular job profile. He can be many. Now if he doesn't want to be restricted himself to one organization or one type of work, he wants to variety of thing. What he can start to do is that he can position himself as a gig or a freelancer, and there are various platforms, and that's where platforms like already existing like Upworks, or there are many platforms like that. And the platform like ours, like which is nicheBrains, we are working with transformation experts who wants to be who wants to have a flexible working schedule and also variety of assignments. They basically want to work with more customers and different kind of challenges, and want to at the same time have a flexibility in that life. So what happens is that they build a portfolio of portfolio using platform like this. They may be with one particular platform, or they could be with multiple platforms as well. So they try to get the job, and once they commit, they work with the organization. And we can also compare. Portfolio is similar to how the movie industry works, because in movie industries there is a project. A movie is a project, and where there are different people with different strengths, like director, singer, producer, and editor. All of these people come together, they work together, and then they basically part ways as well. But during the same time, a director, depending on the time availability and I think a singer can be working in the multiple movies as well. So this can be compared as a portfolio career. And one another complexity that we can add to the portfolio could be that you could not be just freelancing. You could not just be thinking about your professional part as a portfolio, but you could also have a kind of I would say that you are also a good soccer player. So what you want to do is that while on some part of the days you want to work, but on some part of the way you want to play for a club, and which also can give you a kind of monetary benefits as well. So how you can think about it is that where you're not just restricted to a 9 to 5 job, and at the same time you also enjoy the flexibility of working on the areas that you like and pursue a passion and do what that's the kind of a very bird's eye view of portfolio career would be, as we really think about it as well. I hope I was able to give a little bit more clarity on the portfolio career. The second one, which was asked, is that present application of blockchain. So yes, of course, crypto is not a kind of blockchain. Blockchain sees now a lot of applications in terms of contract management. So one of the places where it is getting its presence being seen in the legal tech, or any places where they wanted to, one of the areas where some of the startups we are seeing is about legal tech or prop tech. These are some of the areas where wherever they want these information to be immutable, and that is one area where seeing the blockchain application as well. And industries are also using to engage with their partners, and typically, as we said, that one of the areas where we say that in organizations which are decentralized autonomous organizations, which is still in early stages, they're all bound by a blockchain kind of an agreement where they each bring their efforts to the place, and when whosoever efforts are acknowledged and they are to be given benefits, it basically updated on their blockchain. So there are quite a number of applications out there in the apart from just the Bitcoin and crypto as well today. So the third question which I see is that maximum big tech company like Microsoft, Apple, and many more wants B Tech or BE only. How can we compete with them? See, again, I would say that this will possibly be changing. In fact, if you really look at people who have been hired, in Microsoft or Apple, I have come across people who are artists, who are painters, and who are basically who are completely not from the non-tech background, or a storytellers. They are the ones also on I being identified and recruited in companies like Microsoft and Apple, which there are. It's only the thing is that you need to really identify which kind of role. Suppose if you're really looking at again which kind of a company or what type of role that you are looking in for, and identifying that and applying for such kind of job is very important. But I have come across these kind of large companies are also now looking for non-technical or a B.Tech or a BE or non-pure play programming thing. Because if you really see that there is also a lot of low code, no code kind of platforms are coming in, where basically the coding is no longer what used to be 20-25 years back, which was more like a critical skills that was required, but it's no longer the case. Right. So I do believe that things will change. But I definitely think that if you are a creative, so as I said, and the thing is that what kind of jobs will have, if you are more creative and strategic in your thinking and what value you can bring in, and what you need is one opportunity to identify an organization which you want to work. Again, the question is also, when we also, the other aspect or other dimension for you to little bit reflect would be is that, do you really only want to work for a larger organization? Because the concept of organization itself is changing. You need to really see that what is your purpose, or what is your objective of working in an organization, and what value can create, and can you get that kind of a benefit irrespective of the size or the name of the organization. So that's another thing which I would rather challenge you to think on these lines as well. So that's something which I want you to think about it as well. So other question which I see is that, looking into how new jobs are being created, what are the aspects one should consider before switching job profile? So I would answer this more from I would say that one is a hard fact as to what is this new jobs are. As I said, these jobs are not really existing today. So suppose by the time maybe you are recruited for what you know, but then your job or your growth is dependent on what you can add value to the your organization. So I would like to really think about before even you apply for a job, or if you're switching the job profile, possibly think about uh, what is that organization is about, what kind of a value that they expect, not just for the jobs that is being posted, but what is it that they want to really recruit you for. Maybe the ad could be for possibly a kind of a data analyst or a business analyst or whatever it is, but then why you are being recruited, what kind of a value that they are expecting you to create. So that is one aspect I would always urge whoever I'm actually I work, or whenever I recruit people, I would like to really look at what value they can add to me, and what value that they can bring into the table, and how they can basically quickly have a way to adapt and then change faster. So that's where this mindset and skill sets and techniques are there. So the techniques can be learned quite faster, but what is also important is that, can you, using your already existing new skill sets, can you build on these new techniques and capabilities? So that is where you being a whole person also becomes an important. So going back to and answering your question, I would say that I would always strongly urge you to think from uh, what is the expectation of the organization today, and possibly 2 years down the line also, because it's not, I'm sure that you're not joining for the job that you are want to join today, but rather you want to really have a growth about it. So that is one part which I would strongly suggest. The second one is, what is your value creation which you can do today, and where your passion, or where your ideas lies in the future. These are some of the things which you should be able to be thinking when you're really switching the job profile. Yeah, okay, this is an interesting question. See, this is again, I believe, will companies accept it in future, and what about moonlighting? This is always a completely a very debatable and very sensitive topic. But then let me share my perspective. In fact, even government is going to come out with some kind of a policies about it. But my part is that as long as when you have a portfolio of career and you can see yourself in different parts of it, like as I said about you're working for an organization, you have a passion, or you are other, you are not really impacting what you're doing for others in your job, so you should not be possibly compromising for the organization that you work with respect to their intellectual property or the time that has been allocated, and you're not really defaulting on your deliverables. And second, you're not really working with your, these are some competitors, these are some of the things to start with. And third, again, it's all again comes, I would put it as a whole person thinking, your integrity levels, because at the end of the day, nobody is going to really monitor you when you are really go and work for multiple organizations in the future. And possibly you might be working in portfolio career, and there will be at some point of time you will be able to segment this without impacting, and these things can be open also, because with today, with a lot of other information being available in the public domain of where you work, how you work, things like that, it will be easy to identify also if you're really doing a kind of working in multiple organizations which are in conflict with each other. So only thumb rule could be that, is when you're doing these kind of things, are you really in creating for your job a conflict? Are you doing the same thing, and where your value creation for your these two, a couple of organizations will be in conflict with both the organization, then possibly you might need to choose one. That's how I would like to think about it as well. So if I have to really give a crude example, see, you cannot, if you're playing if you're playing in no, if you're playing for Indian cricket, you represent an Indian cricket team. And when you're competing with, let's say, England in a World Cup, so you cannot really go and be a part of other team. But suppose if you're going, let's say, a T20, like an IPL, naturally you can have somebody from England or somebody from other places can come and then be a part of your team, which is in kind of one club as well. So it depends on the context, and see how you are not really compromising the secrecy or intellectual property of the main organization that you're working for. This is one thing which I will look at it. Second, see if you can have a portfolio of career which is in a diverse thing. So I would always think about portfolio career not based on your single strength, but rather a diverse kind of skills, so that if one thing is getting kind of I would say phased out, the other can always help you in terms of staying afloat while you pick up the new thing. So it's about how adapting yourself to a new normal will be about having a multiple set of different set of strengths, and then using them for your advantage. That's my take on this portfolio of career as well. So I believe I have answered the Bitcoin and crypto. The next one is, what exactly is Industry 4.0? So Industry 4.0 is basically a set of technologies which basically helps in terms of the way the business is conducted. So today, when this technologies includes, I would say that in a factory or in a manufacturing, it's mainly applicable for manufacturing, but also helps in terms of many other industries as well. It's about the way you interact with your customers, way you interact with your supplier, and also the way you conduct your the production as well. So all these things today are looked in isolation, but these industry 4.0, or one example of industry 4.0 could be a kind of a cyber physical production system. These connects all the across the plants, different different departments, where raw material comes into the factory and it moves smoothly across different stages of production, and it gets end product is shipped to the customer. But all along, all these information with automation and not much of manual intervention, they gets automated and produced, where the key informations are fed in these cyber physical production system. Thereby the lead time gets reduced and the quality is ensured, and the visibility of where your product is being tracked exists all through the stages of different stages of production. This is a very high level of industry 4.0. So there are different technologies are there. Now today there are disparate technologies like ERP, manufacturing execution systems, all are there in different places. But when all these things are integrated and then there is a single version of truth exists across the organization, this can be taken as an industry 4.0. So industry 4.0 is an amalgamation of different technologies to enhance your production and various functions. So that's how I would put it as a industry definition of industry 4.0. Okay, so how to prioritize the tool sets if one wants to change the entire domain, given that currently pursuing for a data science course only. So again, I would say that you're still doing. One is the hard knowledge that you're having, which is you're starting with the data science, or I would say that deep learning and ML and various things which I would say that but again, I would always try to put it as well is that how do you balance the learning has to be a continuous process, and what you're starting need not be your end one. So because that's how I would put it. I think there are a couple of questions which are also related. So all these technologies are basically kind of envelopes what we are learning, and what we are learning is basically helps you in terms of helps you to think through, identify the problem, number one. Second, once the problem is identified, find the solution. Now, be it data science or NLP or deep learning or AI or cloud, these are all enablers, but fundamentally what happens is that it helps you to think and think about what problems you can solve and how to find the solution. If you have this as an approach, these techniques or toolkits will help you in terms of applying them. Now today it's AI and cloud. People are talking about cognitive computing as we speak as well. So this is, while you learn about these new technologies, what is also to be approached is that how these technologies can be used to solve different kinds of problems as well. That can be an approach which you can use in terms of identifying the path, whether you want to be in the technology side or whether you want to be on the business side or whether you want to be in somewhere else on the sales or manage. So these things can help in terms of in terms of prioritizing and kind of structuring or designing your I would say that career. So what is important is to, again, I would always say that see what you love and where you are capable. That is the starting point, because now you're still at the college level. Then add these technology elements, but don't stuck yourself with technologies. Keep learning, and because all these technologies are also not really came in isolation. They're all like, these technologies are built on top of some other technologies was the existing before 20 years. So naturally the forthcoming technologies will also be built on these things like cloud and AI and LLP and so on and so forth. So identifying and keeping your mindset open for these kind of what's going to change next can possibly help in terms of getting yourself ready as you go forward with your career options as well. So that's my my take on this question. And I got a question: what comes to your mind if you are hiring and if you have two candidates, one with BTech and other with BSc in CS, CV selecting algorithm of company? So okay, so I would still say that no, again, because it's going to be a personal question, I would always look for, as I said, person's attitude for learning than the hard skill, because hard skills can be learned, and if somebody has an attitude for learning, naturally he can learn anything. and what is needed is a platform to be given. So I would say that, see, all these algorithms also will develop and then include these kind of subjective parts also as we go forward. We are still in the early stages, but however, I would always say between two candidates who are equal in everything, I will look at their attitude in terms of learning, change, and adaptability. This is what I would put myself, and I'm really looking to hire. Uh, One thing for sure in industry 4.0, it doesn't matter which industry or which segment. Again, the be it any kind of industry, data is going to be very critical. Though people were saying about data is new oil, I would even put that data is not just new oil. It's the one that basically are going to be integral of any business. So I would say that every industry is going to be a digital industry. That's what we started off the overall session with. Now, if in order for the organization to thrive in industries, and what is going to how things will be evolving is that they need to have kind of a mass personalization. And if they have to really have a personalized products being produced or a services being given, what they need to understand is all about the consumer, both about how the consumer behaves and what their needs and wants are. So where do you get this from? This is basically by getting the data and putting that in the context and making a meaningful decision. So I would say that it doesn't matter whether it's industry 4.0 or some other industry or new buzzword that comes into picture. Going forward, I think data has to be I would say, the fundamental building block of any kind of transformation, for be it business or personal. That's how I would put it as well. Yep. So yeah, we have some more time, or how is it, like, Aishwarya? Or
It has to end by 6, but looks like we are past 5 minutes. It's
okay,
okay.
sorry about this.
That is okay,
Yeah.
Lakshmi. Looks like the students are also, interested in asking doubts. So I think you can go with one last question, or maybe you can wrap up now itself if there are no questions.
Okay. Okay. So I will go with one last question. So for data
Sure.
science job,
Sure.
we have to focus on data structure also. So I would say that again, see, those specific subjects, and I would always say that your teachers or your professors are pretty much well equipped. uh, what you are given in academia is very important, because at this stage you are still I would say, like, hey, get the fundamentals right. Always, that is very important for you to focus on. And if that fundamentals requires data structure, you need to really do it. And one is that, not just restrict yourself with just the theory alone. See where you can apply. I'm sure that with so many kind of movies that have come, I don't really have to go in there. See, always it in the context of, one, how you can apply what you learn. Second, how it can be applicable to you in the career that you want to pursue. And uh, what else you can do with what you have learned. Can you add some creativity element to it, and then do it? And that's where your growth will start to emerge. That's what I would say. That so I would summarize in saying that future of business is definitely going to change the way the business is conducted today. It will definitely transform. And future of work also will not be the same like what we are doing today. There will be quite a bit of changes will be happening with respect to engagement, flexibility, and portfolio of work, and new kind of engagement, new kind of technologies will evolve. And at this stage, what you can think about it is, when you are pursuing your data science program, what you need to do is that you need to really think about whatever you're learning, how you can apply, and what value you can bring into future organization, or which basically depends on what you love and what you are capable of. And at this intersection, when you keep applying these fundamentals of growth, I'm sure that all of you will be able to realize your full potential and achieve your career goals as well. So I wish you all good luck, and would be happy to see you again sometime in the near future. So yeah, thanks a lot again, the opportunity provided to me.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
So you're welcome to connect me on LinkedIn if at all you are present. So I'd be happy to see your progress and follow you as well. Thank you. So thank you, Aishwarya, and all the faculty members of IIT Chennai. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm exiting the meeting.